But yeah, I'll wait for you guys to acknowledge. Just give me a thumbs up or a hey, I can see you, so I know that we're on the same page. So I'll wait a little bit longer. Take your time. There's no rush whatsoever. Hello there, Kathy. Lovely to see you. So, there you are. Hey, TM. Great to see you. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you can see me now. No issues. And Ruth is saying, listen to old disco songs tonight. Lovely. Wow. What kind of songs were you listening to? Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Kathy. Ciao, Elisabetta. Hey, Natalie. So, thank you. Hey, Suzanne. Lovely to see you. Thanks to all of you for joining this episode of Peaceful Path. I'm going to upload more episodes after this, and I appreciate you being here, and I apologize for the last cancellation we had, or the rescheduling. It was just because that had something that I was working on, and it just took a little bit longer than I thought. So it is what it is. Great to see you all. Thanks, TM. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. Happy to hear that the sound's good. Hey, GW. Nice to see you. Hey, Catherine. Lovely to see you. Not conducive. No, definitely not. But conducive to an uplifting environment and feeling and positivity, right? So I guess that's something as well. Okay. So today's talk is one that was suggested to me, and it was it really resonated with me because we talk about a lot of the benefits of meditation, about how it can help uplift us and propel us to a better life. And one of the benefits of meditation that can resonate with most people is that meditation helps improve or boost your confidence and lower your and improve your lower self-esteem if you have one. So, I thought this would be, a very, very good topic to touch on, which we can just talk a little bit about how meditation can improve that aspect of our lives and really just enhance us as individuals and help us consequently overcome challenges that may be challenges that may be that we may not be pursuing because that we are inhibited internally and we don't feel like we can really get there. So we'll discuss. I'll chat with you a little bit about how and why I think meditation is such an important tool that we can use to help uplift us and boost our confidence and improve our self-esteem. So thanks again for tuning into this episode. And if at any point, at any time, you feel like you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. At any time. You can just leave your question in the chat, and I will gladly answer your questions. So there's that as well. Okay, there's no such thing as a bad question. So the topic of today is, how can meditation boost my confidence and low self-esteem? And again, at some point in our lives, we've all experienced, a bruising to our confidence, or even a low self-esteem. It's something that we can all resonate. It's a universal feeling. Okay, so what really I look back at when we were kids, for example, right? And do you remember that time when you were a kid and, nothing was impossible, right? You could be anything. You could be an astronaut. You could be a firefighter or, a president or whatever it is that you wanted to become. And nothing would hold you back. Nothing would make you doubt yourself. And you just attempted whatever it is that you wanted with rigor and with confidence. And then at some point along the way, life hits back at us, right? And life really, we start experiencing rejection and shortcomings and doubts, and the people around us make us doubt ourselves and hold us back in many ways, and that over time affects our confidence and our self-esteem, and then we really aren't given the tools to handle these shortcomings, to handle these obstacles and these confrontations and these moments of low confidence. We don't know what to do about it. Okay, so these things happen, and in this episode, I'd like to talk about how we can use meditation as a tool to overcoming these feelings of inadequacy, these feelings of our confidence not being very at its strongest point, and so forth. So I think that for us to continue, we need to define what is confidence and what is a low self-esteem, right? Because we have both of them. And then we can talk a little bit about how meditation can help us regain those incredibly important qualities that we can that can propel us. So confidence is basically an unwavering belief in yourself. Okay, so it just means you truly believe that whatever it is you are set to accomplish, you can get there. Whatever challenges that come your way, you are capable of overcoming them. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to succeed, and that if you don't succeed, you lose your confidence. You can still aim for something, not achieve it, but still maintain your sense of confidence. Confidence is basically, confident individuals understand that when they don't achieve something, when something doesn't go their way, when someone says something, it doesn't represent them in any way. It merely represents, a failed approach or maybe a misdirection they may have taken. So they never take things personally, and they understand their true value. Now, we compare that to a low self-esteem. And what does self-esteem, the words self-esteem, mean? Self-esteem is our internal self-worth, right? So it's directly influenced by how we view ourselves and by how we treat ourselves and by how others treat us. And oftentimes our sense of self-worth may come from a variety of things. It may come from actions that we may have undertaken. It may come from, the external, from the environmental sources around us, the people that we interact with, our parents, or the media. Even social media can have a devastating effect on our self-esteem. But it's bad because it can lead to feelings of fear and doubt, and in many ways even a very, very poor life quality. Okay, so again, we can all relate to this because at one point we've all experienced these feelings of low self-esteem, inadequacy, low confidence. But what do we do about it? How do we overcome these feelings of inadequacy? Well, the first thing we need to do is foster a healthy relationship with ourselves. Okay, so we need to understand that if we can, a low confidence or that confidence and self-esteem are directly influenced by how we view ourselves, of course. So the first step is that we need to reestablish a more positive relationship with ourselves. And that all begins with, by, positive self-talk. Well, that would be one of the one of the first things that we would look at, right? Talking positively to ourselves and understanding that no one else's opinion matters except for ours. Sadly enough, we don't spend enough time talking positively to ourselves, dedicating this love and care and understanding and giving that love to ourselves. We don't do that enough. So so that would be the first step. And how can you do that? You can do that by, engaging in gratitude. You can do this in engaging by, affirmations. And every morning, you can just start the morning off by saying nice things to yourself. And that starts rewiring your brain in profound ways, really. Let's check some of the comments that Fatima's saying. When one is always wanting others' approval. Exactly. So someone with low confidence and low self-esteem is, and by the way, it's a very disempowering state because you're constantly dependent on external influences. You're constantly dependent on what other people think and say about you. So it's not a very consistent way to go about your life, and very rarely do you gain that value from yourself. You're constantly trying to seek it from other people, approval. And as Suzanne is saying, low self-esteem can already start in childhood. Yeah, absolutely. And it starts in childhood. We're not naturally born with a low self-esteem. We're not naturally born with low confidence. It starts from things throughout our lives, throughout our childhood, along the way that affect us, that really do bring us down and clip our wings in many ways. So it's it's very important to acknowledge that, okay? To acknowledge that it's not really us. It's not real. Those thoughts are not real. Those thoughts are merely manifestations of how we interact with the people around us and how people treat us and talk to us. So I would suggest trying the following every morning. You get up, you open your eyes, just say 3 positive things about yourself. You may repeat the same affirmations daily, or you can just change them around. Doesn't matter, because the goal of this exercise is to create a positive shift in how you view yourself and enhance your self-worth. And remember that the words that we use on ourselves are incredibly, profoundly impactful in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. So also understand that we do make mistakes. And oftentimes when we make mistakes, we can be very hard on ourselves. So when you make mistakes, just be mindful that it's okay, it's natural, and then just be kind to yourself. Okay, let's keep talking a little bit more about what else causes low confidence and low self-esteem. So we talked a little bit about negative childhood experiences, right? Another one could be societal pressure and the constant need to compare ourselves to other people. And social media plays a huge role in enabling this kind of feeling. Because what it does is it sets very unrealistic and, unrealistic and in many ways over-amplified and negative expectations we may be putting on ourselves. And unrealistic expectations for success and for how we should appear, for how we should behave, for the relationships that we should have. And when we don't meet these expectations because we see them on social media and ostensibly think that these things that we're seeing on social media that everyone is putting up should be the defining factors of how we should be living a happy life, when we don't accomplish these expectations, we start feeling inadequate. We start feeling that, we are not meeting those standards that are set by our peers. And humans, we do have a very toxic innate tendency to compare ourselves to others. And it may come to us without even realizing. But, you have to remember that comparison is a theft of joy. It really does suck the joy out of us when we constantly compare ourselves to other people. So social media does play a very, very big part in us feeling like our self-esteem is lower, like our confidence is not quite there. And as I was saying before, past failures being rejected regularly, you know, they do have a very, very negative impact on us. And they play a big role in eroding our confidence and shaping our self-worth in a very negative way. We talked about negative self-worth, self-talk, sorry, and how it causes a lot of cognitive distortions. But, you know, other conditions, right? Like having anxiety, having depression, these kinds of conditions can really affect how we view ourselves. They can hold us back. They can, you know, bring us down and alter negatively our sense of how we see ourselves. Illnesses, disabilities, illnesses, disabilities, difficult life events, all of these things compound and add up and just affect us negatively as we navigate through our lives. So let's talk a little bit about how meditation can specifically help in helping us improve our confidence and you know, our self-esteem. So one of the things that about having low confidence and about having low self-esteem is that we are constantly living elsewhere. We're not really in the present moment. We are comparing ourselves to others. We're comparing ourselves now to who we used to be or to who we want to be in the future. And we're constantly seeking these external validation from a variety of external sources. So we're never really living in the present moment. We're never really, you know, immersed and focused on the now. And it is no secret that one of the main things that meditation gives us is it helps us cultivate this sense of mindfulness, and it teaches us to focus on the present moment. So then we focus less on the past and on past inadequacies and future potential failures. And what that does is that helps alleviate anxiety. And one of the main causes of negative self-talk is anxiety. When we're in a place of anxiety, when we're anxious and we are experiencing high levels of self-doubt, we're anything but being in the present. So if we meditate regularly, we bring ourselves more to the present moment, and that draws us away from being in places of negative self-criticism and bringing ourselves down, for sure. So yeah. So again, reduces our the stress. It reduces anxiety through immersing ourselves in the now, and by doing that, it also ensures we speak more positively about ourselves, and it gives us more control over those external pressures and external pressures. So what else? Let's see. Okay. So another way the meditation can help you improve your confidence and your low self-esteem is that it basically improves your self-awareness, right? So you become more aware of your patterns, you become more aware of your habits, you become more aware of those thoughts that you may have otherwise been very unconsciously unaware of. So it allows you to, recognize and assess those thoughts without judgment, without any pressure, without, thoughts and feelings. You're basically, you become very aware. And that can, that can lead to to a better understanding of yourself and to a more accepting mindset of who you are and of who you can be. And that's, I suppose it's fairly obvious to say that it does eventually lead to a more positive perception of yourself and to lower levels of compromised self-esteem, without a doubt. And another way that meditation can help you improve your confidence and improve your self-esteem is that it helps foster resilience. It helps you build a more resilient character. And to me, that is a big one, because ultimately we all have to encounter moments of, failure, or moments in which we've been brought down and dragged down. And meditation does help us strengthen this resilience, or these resilience muscles, because it helps us understand how to better handle those setbacks and challenges that we may encounter in life. And when you are resilient, when you are, resilient as a consequence of meditating and knowing how to bounce back, and again, not taking these failures at face value and being patient, you basically, you view yourself, you respect yourself more, you view yourself with a higher regard. You are more likely to maintain more positive composure and higher levels of self-esteem when being encountered by these difficulties. And oftentimes, as meditation teaches you, you view these difficulties as an opportunity for self-growth, right? You understand that those moments of difficulties, these moments of, feeling down, they're just temporary, right? They're not there forever. They will go away just like anything else, which is another lesson that meditation teaches us. Meditation teaches us that everything that we encounter in life is impermanent. Things are always changing. And that, and that attachment causes suffering. So you become less attached to certain outcomes. You become less attached to, feelings, to when you experience failure, you become less attached to that outcome. So you don't take the failure personally. You know how to bounce back, and then you just focus on the plan, on the path, and you overcome the challenge. So there's that, which is a very important one. Now I'm going to leave Fatima is saying self-image is being affected by all the superficial concepts of what one is really inside. Absolutely. And we oftentimes have this very distorted idea of what our self-image should look like, of how we should be perceiving ourselves, of what defines success and happiness. And ultimately, this definition is very broad, okay? One person may define as success, another may define as, failure. Like we just have different ideas, different definitions. And let's see. What else? So Suzanne's asking, being more mindful with oneself. Yes, 100%. And being more mindful with yourself is just such a powerful approach to enhancing self-awareness, to enhancing self-compassion, and overall your well-being, really. So being aware of your, those sensations, being aware of those thoughts. And on that note, since you bring that up, Suzanne, let's think of ways in which we can be more mindful, in ways that can help us cultivate a greater self-esteem and self-awareness. For starters, I would say, start small, okay? Because if you overwhelm yourself, you can be hard on yourself. So if you're starting with 20-minute sessions of mindfulness or meditation, and you don't achieve that, that can go towards self-criticism. So start with about 5 minutes, and each time you accomplish something, you perceive yourself in a higher regard, in a better way. And the second way would be to speak kindly of yourself. We discussed that earlier, but talk to yourself like you would talk to a best friend. Ultimately, we should really be talking to ourselves like that. So show yourself this kindness, show yourself patience, and the kind of understanding that you would show to a best friend, or to someone that is going through difficulties, or that someone that is doubting themselves. Give yourself this same courtesy. Now, in terms of mindfulness, engage in mindfulness activities that are positive, that evoke positive feelings in yourself, okay? Like mindful eating, right? Pull out a block of chocolate or a glass of wine or whatever it is that you enjoy eating and incorporate that into your mindfulness routine. And you'll find that will, that'll create more happiness in you. It'll make you feel better about yourself. It'll help you appreciate what you're eating, and that creates a greater feeling of self-love and also gratitude as well. So there's that. Going for walks, taking a walk around the block, finding things while you're walking that you're grateful for. Gratitude is, in my opinion, one of the greatest and key antidotes to self-doubt and to a low self-esteem. Because a lot of the times, having a low self-esteem may come from having a warped and twisted perception of our lives and of how we should be. And what gratitude does is bring us back into the reality of things, and it helps us shift our focus and our perception to something that's a little more positive, not fake, not exaggerated, but positive. And that can have a huge, profoundly impactful effect on our lives. Reflecting can be good, but I don't think it's. I think meditation is better. But yeah, mostly that, and visualizations. We've done this many times before. Sitting down, setting aside 5 to 10 minutes, and visualizing something that you want to achieve. Visualizing you being represented in a more positive light. Visualizing yourself being the person that you want to be, okay? So that is very, very important. That can be very powerful. Visualization has been proven to be very powerful. There's one more, okay, I'm going to cover. Metta meditation, okay? Metta, also known as a loving kindness meditation, is a great way for you to, express love to those around you and to those you may not even know, and to yourself, most importantly. When you do that, you let go of a lot of these feelings of comparing yourself to other people, a lot of these feelings of constantly judging yourself, and you become more accepting as an individual. So without a doubt, I'd say metta is, again, mindfulness meditation, gratitude, self-talk, metta, visualization. Those are very, very important ways for you to cultivate a greater way of feeling more confident and boosting your self-esteem. And Suzanne's saying, be kind to yourself, focus on positives, do things you enjoy. 100%. 100%. And it all comes down to self-kindness. It all comes down to being good to ourselves. And that can be manifested in a variety of ways, through positive self-talk, through, little things that we may do for ourselves, like, treating ourselves to something, going for a walk, not spending too much time on social media, which can be devastating for our self-confidence, and just being around people who make us feel better. Okay, so let's see. So do you have any questions thus far that you may like me to answer that I may not have covered? Suzanne's saying eating chocolate. Yes, eating chocolate, of course, that's a big one. Eating chocolate has been proven to help us feel better, to release these good chemicals, serotonin and endorphins and all of these really good chemicals that help us feel good. So eating chocolate is a big one. So I like that one. I might have to practice that one a little bit more often. So yeah, if you have any questions, then more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I've got an audition at 9 o'clock. I've got to run too soon, so I'll unfortunately have to leave soon. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate you giving me this this opportunity to conduct this talk, and there will be more. I'll upload more. A few of you have suggested topics. I'm going to to upload more topics today for future Peaceful Path talks. And I want to thank you for your support and for, just being there to, Suzanne has a question. Are there people with low self-esteem that have a large ego? Oh, yes, absolutely. So that is very, very common, Suzanne. People with low self-esteems that have a large ego. And that I understand that can be a very confusing sort of paradox that we may experience, right, and witness. And oftentimes it stems from underlying insecurities. You see, when people have low self-esteem and low confidence, they express them in different ways. You see, some people shell into shyness, and other people create a barrier that it's like a protection barrier in the form of coming across as arrogant or coming across like as though they have confidence or whatever it is. Oftentimes people with low self-esteems who have high egos, they're like this because they're trying to overcompensate for ego, Natalie, ego, not echo, ego, which is basically how we view ourselves, self-perception, and how we see ourselves relative to the world. So basically the whole world revolves around us. So basically, people with a low self-esteem, again, may overcompensate. So over time, as a defense mechanism, as a coping strategy, they overinflate their egos because they think that it may, it's like this whole imposter syndrome thing. It may make them seem like they're more confident, therefore they will eventually become more confident. So they portray themselves as being that. They also may be afraid of being vulnerable. Okay, so people with low self-esteem who have high egos, they don't want to show their vulnerabilities because they're being vulnerable to them. And ultimately, being vulnerable in life as a human being biologically is a threat to our lives. As babies, if at any point we are vulnerable, we die, right? So vulnerability to a lot of us may equal devastating consequences. So vulnerability, and they usually create this ego in their own minds to prevent others from seeing this vulnerability in themselves. So there's that. And also validation. There's a form of when people have a low self-esteem but a high ego, they do so because they need others to validate them, and they feed off other people's validation by appearing confident or self-assured. And that may result in a temporary boost in self-esteem, but what that does in the long term is that it makes it more complicated, and it makes it a lot trickier for them to go back to their roots, go back to where they are fundamentally and fix it. So it becomes overbearing, and it becomes almost like it takes over their identity, which is not good, But yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think that's yeah. Okay, let's see. Ruth is saying, I think as we get older, we have more confidence as we care less of what others think. Yeah, no, 100%, Ruth. As we grow older, we do care a lot less about what other people think. We need less validation. You can just tell, by when you're around older people versus when you're around younger people. Older people have just experienced it all. By the time they have reached a mature age, they have, built these tools and these strategies to overcome, and they've created a better understanding of themselves. So without a doubt. Suzanne saying, thanks for this very interesting talk. Oh, you're welcome, Suzanne. Thanks for suggesting it. I really appreciate it. And as Suzanne has suggested this talk, any of you, if you have any ideas, Ruth, thank you for suggesting a talk as well. By all means, feel free to message whatever suggestions for topics you may have, and I'll gladly cover them in future talks. So thank you, guys. Lots of love to you, lots of appreciation, and we'll chat later this week in one of my upcoming meditations on Insight Timer, and we will also chat in our next talk, next Peaceful Path talk. So you're welcome, TM. Thank you so much again, for always being here. Thank you so much. I'll give you guys a big hug. Love you guys. You're welcome, Kathy. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll chat.